Hi everyone, I'm here at Sepang International Circuit for the last round of the MCS. This last round of Malaysia Championship Series also consists of Caterham Championship, Asian Le Mans Sprint Cup, and Classic Car. As usual, I will take this type of opportunities to practice working on my gimbal, and as you can see, it's just mucking around with it. Hi, I'm here with...
Hi, my name is Allen. I shoot for mudcanyon.blogspot. We are here today at Malaysia Championship Series. This is the final round, the 300-kilometer endurance race. So they just wrapped up the free practice this morning, and later on in the evening they will be having the qualifying. So the objective here is to see who has the fastest lap time and to see who starts in the very front. So stay tuned to watch and see what happens. So untuk MCS workshop fast lap lah. Ni tahun pertama mereka untuk compete lah dalam MCS kan. Tapi sebelum ni juga diorang banyak juga compete untuk Malaysia Speed Festival. So soalannya, adakah experience dalam MSF tu dia ada berguna juga ke untuk MCS ataupun dia sangat berbeza?
Ada yang sangat berguna.
Okay.
Dari segi racing strategy, tyre wear memang sangat berbeza daripada MSF. MSF banyak guna kita guna road tyre.
Okay.
Untuk MCS ni kita pakai stainless steel. Dan ada yang boleh pakai lah, ada yang kita boleh pakai daripada MSF. Ada yang kita kena guna experience sepanjang jalan, sangat pengalaman. Dan pada sini pun kita bekerjasama dengan fast lap sebab kita dah memang stasi daripada awal saya start untuk MSF. So memang tak ada masalah, so far semua berjalan lancar. First year kita tahun ni pun kita target, kita dah memang achieve target.
Right.
So hopefully better for next year. We will improve more better lah next year. Strategi semua, preparation.
Right, today I have with me another very talented driver from Sepang as well. He's driving for Team R Engineering, car number 44. This is Alif Hamdan. He also used to drive for the Porsche Carrera Cup series as well. So he came back here and he was asked to drive for R Engineering. So it's nice for you to come out here today.
Cheers, man. All good.
Right. So today for the endurance race, it'll be slightly different compared to what is called a sprint race. So what would be the difference of approach when it comes to racing for an endurance race?
For endurance race, you probably race the first 5 laps like a sprint race, and then from there onwards, once the cars get a bit distance out, you generally, instead of shifting at 8,800, you start shifting at 83, 8,400 to try to conserve the engine, make sure you don't miss a gear, and try to keep off the curbs, because 300 kilometers is a lot of laps, and if you keep taking the curbs, then you might incur some suspension damage along the way.
Right. Okay, so for those who've been following the MCS series, you guys have seen the races, you have seen some of the dogfights. So past events, I have been seeing some pretty interesting dogfights, particularly between you and car number 46.
Yeah.
And he's also known to be a very talented driver as well. So can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Keithley and I, we known each other for about 5 years. When I started racing, he was already a veteran by then, and then he just taught me a thing or two about front wheel drive driving, gave me some tips in the early years, and I think this year he's starting to regret that because we've started to exchange positions quite a lot during the races. Good fun because we're family friends, so yeah, we're probably enemies when the helmets are on, but it's all good when the helmets are off.
So it's basically a case of the student getting better than the teacher, in a way.
Yeah, maybe getting luckier than the teacher, yeah, for sure.
All right, fair enough. So for this round, what would you expect to be placed at?
Well, ideally where we are, I guess if you can finish top 5, would be really happy with that. But you know, to get top 3 and finish on the podium, that would be just amazing because we have a little bit more pace to find in our second driver. But I think we keep our nose clean, we have a good chance.
All right. So when it comes to track conditions, because I'm sure you raced in Sepang a lot, so certain drivers, they have like certain conditions they would prefer. So what would be yours?
Ours is because my second driver, he is relatively new to circuit racing. He was an ex-rally driver, so we've tuned the car to be softer than the other cars at our engineering. So ideally, we are the quickest car in the wet, but it's not so good in the dry. So we'll just have to manage that. But in saying that, because we're running softer springs and stuff, we should be able to take care of the tires a bit better.
All right. Thank you, and
No worries, man.
good luck out there. So hope to see you on the other side. Today we have Kenny Lee from Kagani Racing.
Hi.
So previously he was racing for Wing Hin Motorsport on the Toyota 86 platform, which is relatively new. So now, since he's not racing that car anymore, he's back on the scene with the Suzuki Swift. And this time, if I'm not mistaken, there are 2 cars?
2 cars.
2 cars, all right. So it always comes to me, asking like, what would be the difference between racing, say, something that is made to drive hard to, say, something that's more of a city commuter, people say? What would be the difference in approach on that?
When it comes to driving a different cars and different class of cars, it demands a lot on the driver adaptation. Handling is different, speed is different, tires is different, and the ever-changing track condition, which is one of the very dynamic and tricky parts for a driver to adapt. So having to race in different classes doesn't mean that slow cars is not as fun or not as difficult. But on the opposite side, basically a slower car demands much more accuracy because the speed drop, and for you to make your speed back, on the corner exit is much more difficult. So the room for error is actually smaller.
Okay. So this is just asking honest opinion. Do you find it more fun to drive a Suzuki Swift compared to a Toyota 86?
I think in this to this context is basically looking at what kind of competition that you're having within the class.
Right.
Of course, MTC class itself is more of grassroots, and there are new drivers, but there are also experienced drivers that competing within the class. 2 liters, of course, is very seasoned drivers that has been there for at least 2-3 seasons.
Right.
Most driver standards is much higher, but so as the speed is higher. So again, both class actually offers the same kind of excitement and difficulty. But end of that is pretty much for me. It depends the driving skill level of a new person coming into the scene and which playground should he play on.
All right. So since you mentioned about new drivers, I was also told that you do train new drivers as well. So could you elaborate a little bit on what would be your approach to train these new drivers?
Yeah, driver training has been one of the thing that I always liked and want to do, because I felt that the more that I share, the more that I learn and improve. But at the same time, also to be able to share the skills is one of the good thing to help out the sports as well. Talking about the approach of this new driver, in most cases, is basically to build up their confidence.
Okay.
And to set their expectation, because to many newcomers, racing seems to be a very dangerous sport. Yes, it is, but as you get into the sport itself, basically you never think of those dangerous elements. I mean, before race you don't think about it, but during race basically you would never think about it. All you look at is the next corner coming ahead, the cars around you.
Right.
So it's a different kind of expectation, and that is what the first thing that I will share with them, and then only looking into their expectation on how to improve their driving and so forth.
All right. Yeah, if anybody wants to learn how to drive, I would suggest to look for Kenny as well.
Thank you.
Very nice guy. So it's very nice to see you, and good luck. See you on the other side.
Thanks, Alan.
All right.
Thanks, guys. See you again.